Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I hope everyone is doing well. It is a Sunday afternoon. I'm going to upload this for later this week, but I wanted to do a book tag while I've got time to do a little bit of video. And the book tag that I wanted to do this afternoon was the book nostalgia tag. And this is a tag that's been going around on BookTube, and it was created by Noah over at Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse. Awesome channel. Go check him out. And I watched it on Brian at Bookish and Working Man Reads. And so go check out those channels. I'll leave the link to all three of those down in the description. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed listening to all of the different answers, and I know there's been a whole bunch of other people who have done this tag, so I thought maybe I'd, just throw in my 2 cents because I don't have a nickel. So here we go. Questions and prompts. Here we go. Number 1. So what is the oldest book from your life that you still own? Okay, so the very first book that I remember owning is Dinosaurs. I got this with my Scholastic book order when I was in first grade. I got put into foster homes, and this was my very first book that I got to order in that first foster home when I was in first grade, and it was awesome. And it's kind of amazing. I won't show you the inside cover because obviously I was practicing writing my name. But it had stickers in it, and here's the stickers right here. You stuck the sticker with the dinosaur that they were talking about, and of course we got the old brontosaurus to lead us off. And I absolutely loved this book. I read it to death, and I am actually amazed that the thing has not fallen apart. I do know that if you look at those staples in the book, they are rusty. So this book's been around. We'll just keep it at that. When I went from foster home to foster home, this was one of the things. I had a handful of books, and that's one of the things that got to travel with me in my garbage bag full of clothes. So I got to learn about all of these dinosaurs. And what's amazing, if you listen to Steve Donahue, he always says don't underestimate a kid by not giving them a hard enough read. He talks about kids will grow into their reading, so challenge them. And if you look at that is, I was a first grader getting this book, and that's not an easy read for a first grader, but I was just magically enthralled with dinosaurs. There's an Allosaurus, and then we had the old Brachiosaurus. Really cool painting or pictures here. Diplodocus, and then of course everybody's favorite, the old Tyrannosaurus Rex. I always liked the Triceratops and the Ankylosaurus. I always thought those were pretty cool dinosaurs. But anyway, this book really allowed me to, if I'm thinking nostalgic here, this is the book. I've talked about this in other videos where there was a lot of loud fighting and physical fighting in my first foster home. And this is the book that I told you about, that I would hide behind the couch while all the stuff was going on and I went into my own little world. This is the book. This was my savior, so to speak, early on in my life. But anyway, so the second question in this tag is second prompt, first loved library book. Okay, so I own the first one, and it was the Boxcar Children series, and there were like a lot of these. I want to say there was over 100 of these in the series, and I read a bunch of them, and I loved them. I checked them out at the library, one right after another. This was one of those series that I went through quite a few of the books. And like I said, I can't remember exactly how many there are in the series, but it was, if you're not familiar with it, it was by Gertrude Chandler Warner. Boxcar Children. They're a bunch of kids who ran away. They went and lived in a boxcar, and they figure out how to How to Survive, and then I want to say, did they get adopted? I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've read it. I just remember I really liked them, and I always imagined myself when I was in and out of those foster homes. I always imagined myself running away and starting my own life and not having to rely on other people. And yeah, so it went right with my imagination. And you'll notice that I guess I need to clear the air here. You see the name on there. That was one of my teachers. So I do have a few books in my collection that, as I went from foster home to foster home, I was that kid, the kid who took books from the classroom library and forgot to turn them in. And sometimes that was the case because I moved foster homes and just didn't get it back to them. But anyway, never had a teacher get really mad at me. I'm pretty thankful for that. So I think they understood. We'll just keep it at that. I know I understand in my own classroom library when books don't come back. I get that. So anyway, let's move on here. That's enough nostalgia on that one. Number 3, a book given to you. Okay, so recently, this last week, Steve Donahue sent some books in the mail. And so I am going to show you a book. This one wasn't sent this week, but it was sent probably a couple months ago, I think, but it's Stonewall in the Valley. Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson's Shenandoah Valley Campaign, spring of 1862 by Robert Tanner. And he got this from the ever-famous Brattle Bookshop. And he sent that one to me in the mail. And I can't wait to, I got to make time to get to these. I got such a problem with books that that I have not read yet that I really want to read. This is on that list. And yeah, anyway, there's a bunch of them. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there. So that was one sent from Steve Donahue. And then recently I've been showing a huge, massive mail haul from Todd at Todd's Bursting Bookcase. And this is one of the books that he sent me, The Trial of Adolf Hitler, The Beer Hall Pushed, and The Rise of Nazi Germany by David King. So he sent that book to me. And I'm looking forward to dipping into that and learning a little bit more about the early Germany right before World War II. All right, so number 4, a book recommended to you. All right, so when I first got on BookTube, it's almost 2 years ago now, it didn't take long for people to figure out that I like Civil War stuff. I love to read about the Civil War. And the constant question by a whole bunch of people, so I'd have to go back and look at the videos to see the exact people, but I know there was a large handful of people who asked me, have you read Alan Nevin's Civil War series? And I had said, no, I've always wanted to, but I can never find the books. And last Christmas, I think it was last Christmas, maybe my birthday last year. But anyway, I made a point of buying those books so I can finally knock that off my list and I will have them on my shelves. So I got the first one here, The Ordeal of the Union, Volume 1. So these are 2 books packed into one because the original series was 8 books long. And it was, so this is Fruits of Manifest Destiny, 1847 to 1852, and then A House Dividing, 1852 to 1857. So yeah, there is my book recommended to me, and it was by several of you out there. And thank you for doing that. You kind of pushed me over the edge to get these. And if you look back here, I've got the rest of them in the series right here. So I really look forward to. I'm going to try to get to that one soon. That's in the next few months. I'm going to get to that series and get it started. So question number 5, a buddy read text. So I'm taking it by text, I mean the books that we're reading. So right now I'm in the middle of a couple of really, really good buddy reads. The first buddy read that I got in was with Peg over at the History Shelf, and we added John David in, and we are reading Thomas Jefferson, The Art of War by John Meacham. And this is an awesome book. Reads really fast. I'm not real far. We just started a couple days ago, but it is really good. I'll read the next 2 chapters tomorrow morning, most likely. And yeah, I would recommend this. And I'm not even very far in, and I'd already recommend it. Pretty good read. And then the other buddy read that I'm involved in is with me, Peg at the History Shelf, Lukash, and Patrice. And we are reading Frederick Douglass, The Prophet of Freedom by David W. Blight. And this won the Pulitzer Prize a couple of years ago. And this is also a phenomenal book. It is really, really good. I think my wife is about sick of listening to me say, "Oh my gosh, these books are awesome." And I know she's getting a little tired of me saying that, but they are very, very good. So those are my buddy reads. Number 6, a book or books introduced to you in school. And I didn't dig these out. They're upstairs somewhere. But I had a really good English teacher. Her name was Cheryl Woods. And she did a whole bunch of just regular English classes, a couple of those. And then she had like a great books class. And it was phenomenal. She introduced us to a lot of just wonderful readings I probably would never have picked up without her. And we read, Lord of the Flies in there. We read Of Mice and Men, which both of those are two of my favorite books to this day. We read like Gulliver's Travels. We read the Iliad and the Odyssey. We read, trying to think, there was just a whole bunch of them, and it just opened my eyes to the reading world and prepared me for that next step I was ready to make to go into college. And I really started taking off in my reading, and I owe that to her. Just kind of whet my appetite for everything, and I just started reading. And so Number 7, genre fiction that inspires nostalgia. All right, so for me, I think historical fiction really, really brings back those old memories, and it goes back especially to college, because that's really when I started reading historical fiction. I was at Northwest Missouri State University, and there was a little bookstore in the downtown area that sold books for relatively cheap amount. And back in high school, I'd had a teacher who recommended me to read John Jakes' Kent Family Chronicles, that 8-volume series. And of course, my immature young mind wasn't ready to read books that thick just yet, at least on my own anyway, without them being required. And when I got to college, I finally tried it, and I picked those up, and I absolutely loved them, and I ate them up and read all the way through them. And then I read the North-South trilogy, and then I read several other John Jakes. So the genre fiction that inspires my nostalgia is definitely historical fiction, and it goes in John Jakes in specific, because it goes back to those college days, and I really caught fire in my reading on my own, not just assigned works in class, but stuff that I was reading on the side by myself. So number 8, literary work that inspires nostalgia. So I got to be honest, and you guys I know are always probably laughing at me because I'm always having to look up these different words in the tags, because I am clueless, I guess. But I looked up literary work, and it looked like it was basically any printed work that you could find is what it looked like when I was looking online. So I picked legal thrillers for this, and in particular, I'm thinking of John Grisham. Absolutely love his stuff, and it is nostalgic for me because it takes me back to the time that my child was born. When my first child, when we were in the hospital waiting on her to arrive, I had a John Grisham book with me that whole time, and so that really brings back good memories for me. And I've loved Grisham ever since. If you look here, see if we can do this without you getting dizzy. Right up at the top of the bookcases up there, all across that front row, that's mostly all John Grisham, and there's some John Jakes up there too, but mostly John Grisham. Just love his stuff. So number 9, a spiritual text that inspires nostalgia. All right, so for me, it would be in the Bible, in the book 1 Corinthians 13:4. And we were actually looking at this a little bit today in church when the pastor is going through his sermon. And it says, "Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud." And that one takes me back to my wedding day. And when I married my beautiful, beautiful wife, beautiful, kind, loving wife, Amber. And that day was pretty special for me. That absolutely awesome woman, chose to be with me. And that just, it warms my heart every time I see that verse. Yeah, so anyway, number 10 is tag some readers. So for me, I got 2 people I'm going to tag. Since I've got 2 buddy reads going with Peg at the history shelf, I'm going to tag Peg, let her do her take on this. And then I'm also going to tag Todd at Todd's Bursting Bookcase, because he sent me 2 ginormous boxes of books full of World War II books, and I absolutely love him for that. That was great. Thank you, Todd. So now I'm going to tag you on this. I would tag Steve Donahue also, but I am fairly certain he did this one. I think he did. So there's no use. Well, Steve, if you haven't done it, I consider yourself tagged on this also. So anyway, BookTube, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope everyone's having a great, wonderful day, wonderful week. Just enjoy the nice weather. It's starting to cool off finally. We've been getting some sprinkles here. It's supposed to rain this week. Unfortunately, it's supposed to rain in one of my last ball games I got to coach, but what can you do when you're begging for rain? Beggars can't be choosers, right? So anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you stuck around this long. If you haven't done this one, just go ahead and feel free to do it. So till next time, BookTube, happy reading.